We're
Okay, got it. All right. So I'd like to welcome everybody to our reading of the Lepidopteran. It's a sci-fi fantasy piece that I basically created over, it's been close to 12 or 13 years ago. Just so you understand how insane I was when I wrote this piece. I actually created all the armors for it in my apartment. So some of the people who've been over to my apartment are like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? It's like from the bedroom to the living room, it's just packed with, artwork for the series. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our guests, you know what I'm saying, just so they can feel more comfortable if they have anything they want to say. And then after that, I'm going to go and I'm going to introduce each one of you. I'm just going to say your first name or your initials, however you prefer it. And then I'll go ahead and let you say your characters' names so that the people who are following us online can actually understand which characters you're going to be playing. So when you start speaking in a different voice or you start saying a different line, they'll understand this is a different character if they don't have the script. Okay, so let's start off with, I'm gonna go with my cousin. I love her so much. Esther Dillard. Just if you want to say anything, just say hello or anything like that.
Hi, everybody. This is my first reading, listening for the first time ever, hearing a script being read through. So I'm really honored to even be a guest. My profession, I am an anchor and reporter at the Blank Information Network, which is with iHeartMedia. So I'm enjoying this. This is just a fun thing for me to listen to. And I'm honored to be able to see all your talent.
Okay, excellent. And next we're gonna go over to Zelda Patterson. You're muted, Zelda. You're muted.
Hi.
There you go.
And this is Ralph.
Hi, Ralph. Hey, Ralph. Hey.
We are filmmakers. I have a play. I'm a playwright. I'm a nurse. Been a nurse for a long time. And right now, our company is Griot Storyteller Media. And we've done some health-related projects over the years, and the current play is Smoke. And thank you, Nate. I consider Nate a friend. He's helped so much with casting and a lot. Really appreciate it.
All right. Much love to you, Zelda. You too, Ralph, my man. Yes. Okay. Excellent. All right. I'll go according to how how you're set up on my screen. So I'm starting off in the top left-hand corner with HB. You want to kick it?
Yes, my name is HB Gibson, and I believe I'm playing Nightlight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only character you're playing?
I believe it's Nightlight and Dog Man.
Dog Man 1 or 2 or one of them. You know what I'm saying?
One. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. If anything else you want to add? No.
I'm happy to be here. It's so good to see everybody. This is fun for me.
All right, great. Going over to the next person at the top, Alan Verne. Alan?
I'm retired. I would have liked to have been a professional pillager, but they're out of style here. So I'm an amateur pillager. I'm playing Green Man, Dog Captain, and the Neo-Egyptian Commando.
Excellent. Okay, next is Greg.
Hi, my name is Gregory Chater. I'm from Ramsey, New Jersey, and I'm doing the narrator tonight. And thanks for having me do this and see everybody again. All right. So let's all have a good night.
Yeah.
Next is Morgan.
Hi, my name is Morgan Hope. I'm located in Bridgewater, New Jersey. I'm playing the Oracle.
All right. Next, EDB, Big Ed.
Yep. Vincent Burrows, just call me Ed. I am playing the character Tiamat, and I am very thankful for being part of this production, and just going to do the best that I can for you all. So there you go.
And you're also playing the mimics of Tiamat
and the mimics of Tiamat as well. So basically, I'm playing my own doppelgangers. There you go. So there it is.
All right. Next is Giselle.
Hi guys, Giselle Samson from Los Angeles, California. I am playing Venger. I am also going to be doing Angelica / Harpy Queen. I'm also going to be doing the ceremony curator. And I think that's all.
By the way, I'll also be for Venger's Mimic. I'll be reading that line, you know what I'm saying, because it's a male character and I couldn't at last minute find the right person to play it. Now let's one of you guys volunteer if you want to do that. All right. Next up is Courtney.
Yes, my name is Courtney, and I'll be playing the No and the Green Wife.
All right, excellent, excellent. Anything else you want to tell us, Courtney?
I don't know what else there is to say, but I'm from New Hampshire, which is probably far away from all you guys, but yeah.
All right, excellent. All right, next is Brian Spock.
Hi, everybody. Brian and Wixson. Been part of the team with Captain Nate for what, decade, 15 years, whatever it's been.
It's been about 15 years, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been a blast so far and I hope it keeps going. I'll be reading tonight for The Viking and Dogman number 3.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, and last but not least, it's just the way you popped up on here. That's the only reason why I'm doing you now. Jamonet.
Hi, I'm Jamonet Rice, but I prefer Jay, and I enjoy reading with you guys for the choice, and I'm excited I get to do it again.
Right, and the character you're playing?
Oh, and I'm playing the character of Celine.
All right, excellent, excellent. Now, really quick, some of you also have characters like Dogman number 2 and Dogman number 3 and Dogman number 1. So it's like, if you want to just, well, when it comes up, we'll just cover it when it comes up. But I did list that before, the different characters you're supposed to be playing. So we'll just cover that when it happens, all right? So let's get started. It's already 8:17. All right, let's get started.
All right.
Greg, you ready?
Yep. All right. Forbidden Landscape Day. A red rock moon-like landscape stretches out before an abyss-like valley. The footprints of hooved-toe shoes lead to the feet of a cloaked figure whose back is to the camera. His cloak sways heavily in the evening mist as his hands reach and grab an iconoclastic tall horned helmet. He is a 40-something black male, and his clothing is singed and smoking. Through the silence, a woman's soft and melodic voice pierces the void.
In the beginning of all things, there was a crisis. A king who was to be an emperor changed. His crown so soiled with blood of the innocent that his rage became a dragon.
The cloaked figure is seen briefly from the front as he slips his helmet off his head. The eye sockets glow with an eerie neon light that harkens to supernatural. As the woman speaks, his neck and head begins to stretch, rising high above his shoulders as they themselves roll forward, making his arms stumble to the ground. His gloved hands, now claws, brace solidly on the firmament.
That, in turn, hurt those he was meant to protect. Yet a handful of heroes answered the cry for help.
Flames arch now from his deformed dragon-like face as a piercing screech bellows from his radiating head and chest, just as several iridescent orbs of light surrounded the monstrosity in the sky above him.
This is how we prevented the end of this world.
Interior all-white room. The camera drops to reveal a circular plush all-white sofa seat with 2 wooden and clog-like moon shoes at the top of the chair. As the camera lowers, an African-American male dressed in crisp white yet vagabond-esque clothes with a black beret is revealed sitting upside down. He is in an all-white room with an obsidian disc about the size of a large PDA in his hands. He seems to be playing some futuristic Pong video game. His name is Nightlight, and although he's active, there's a look of extreme boredom on his face. Soft space, music playing in the background. Interior all-white room later. In Nightlight's hands is now a clear plastic tablet with lights projected on it and his face. He is obviously looking at a huge monitor. Time lapses, and it later appears that he is now working on some sort of project instead of playing. Time lapses again, and he is now on his belly with his arms draped over the edge. He is still messing with the plastic tablet, yet no longer looking at the monitor, but organizing something. Finally, the music is stopped, and the tablet is at least a foot away from his outstretched arms. Nightlight is asleep on the floor, which seems to be his makeshift bed. Interior all-white room hours later. There is a beeping noise as a soft beacon light begins to flash. Nightlight awakens with a look of exuberance across his face.
Ephemism. It took long enough.
He groggily hops to his feet and staggers toward the nearby automatic sliding door. There is a display case next to the door with a medallion on the front of it. In the case is armor with 4 gold wings and matching gold horn mask with gauntlets. The Nightlight grabs the medallion from the front of the case, and when he puts the medallion on his chest lapel, the armor disappears. He walks through the sliding doors, adjusting his clothes. He wants to look good. Interior narrow spaceship cockpit moments later. A narrow jump jet type door slides open in a narrow cockpit of what is now revealed as a spaceship. Nightlight hops over a wired black dashboard and chair into a velvet red pilot seat just below it. The flashing lights and soft buzzing sound diffuse into a bright neon glow over his face as he stares at the cockpit monitor.
Homeworld, this is the Lepidopteran shuttle. Nightlight requesting docking rights and assistance.
The monitor clicks on as a woman's voice from the narration at the beginning of the film responds. She is the Oracle, a 20-something blonde wearing a brown beret with a reflective mechanical Couture hat on top of it. In her waist is an arrow-shaped Asagi-like weapon. She twists it horizontally to her back as she sits. A quirky smile lights up her face as she begins to speak.
Hey, stranger.
Whoa, kiddo. I wasn't expecting you. Someone got promoted.
Do miracles ever cease?
Sometimes they do. You're sounding kind of cocky with your new status.
I prefer to be called arrogant, Your Majesty.
So you prefer to be called arrogant and Your Majesty.
Clever. Docking assistance granted. What did you bring me this time?
The Nightlight reaches over a ton of messy electrical equipment and holds up cautiously a double-barreled white gun. There is a symbol of the US flag on it, as well as a yellow alien and one-eyed smiley face.
Found a fully functional 38088 AD psionic blaster with laser accoutrement. Have to be careful though. Has a hairpin trigger. Damn near my favorite find yet.
He holds up the gun to the monitor, twisting back and forth like modeling a classic antique.
You're kidding me, right?
Would I kid you, kiddo?
Yes.
Well, no, I'm not this time.
The Oracle leans into her monitor screen curiously just as the gun lights up.
According to historical records, psionic blasters were triggered by the gunner's mind. Don't tell me that you're about to fire prematurely.
A look of shock flashes across Nightlight's face as he responds wide-eyed. He puts the gun away and leans equally close to his monitor.
I may be late or even seem early, but trust me when I say that I never fire prematurely.
The Oracle leaned back in her chair.
Sure.
The Oracle purses her lips to avoid any more of the now awkward conversation, and with attitude points to the screen.
So that's it?
I've got some other stuff. You know, I totally loaded up.
Cool.
Just cool. And what? Not amazing?
And what? Not enough.
Really? I can't get enough of this attitude of yours. It's as if the universe owes you something.
The Oracle holds up her hands and places her thumbs on her index fingers.
When you are one with the universe, what else would you expect?
The Oracle gestures with one finger to pause the conversation and leans over to the side of the monitor, grabbing something just beyond the screen. When she finds it, she shoves it into her mouth. It is a pair of fake shark-like teeth. She smiles.
My dear, you have a smile that can rip through a man's soul and bring joy to any true killer's heart.
She immediately stops smiling. There is a pause, and then they both smile. Hers the same as before because she has taken hers out, but now his is shark-like. The camera catches him putting the teeth in.
You got a wicked smile too.
Ain't easy being human nowadays.
Who wants to be just human? I swear you're too old-fashioned.
We learn from our weaknesses to see our strengths.
More of this and less weapons in our future.
Noted, my dear. Noted.
A loud chime is heard, sounding which cuts their conversation short.
Which docking bay?
7.
I am your favorite. That's the closest I've been to early and easy entry and exit.
And it's the closest you'll ever get.
We'll see.
I know.
Nightlight winks, taking the teeth out as the Oracle nods her head.
Probably the closest you will ever get.
A small white cocoon-shaped vessel moments later. The small white vessel races forward, the lights from its humming engines radiating a soft blue iridescent color.
Probably, huh? So you're saying there is a chance I may be number 1 someday? I like those odds. I feel kind of special.
Well, feelings come and go.
There is another momentary pause as the cocoon vessel approaches a glowing rune-shaped doorway floating in the space before it.
True. Easy as dock number 7?
As easy as 1, 2, 3.
Are you playing favorites with me?
Whatever gets you through the darkness, my shining nightlight.
Aw, you say the sweetest things when you want free stuff.
Whatever.
Homeworld day. The clouds begin to swirl in a circular pattern in the bright blue sky as the rune from the outer atmosphere appears in the center of them. The cocoon-shaped vessel exits quickly from its center and docks on a similar yet giant in shape rune pattern on the ground. Homeworld is amazingly similar to a utopian Earth. In the sky around the landing vessel are sporadically passing vehicles, their hum almost musical as the vessel lands. Homeworld dock. As the vessel lands, 2 women approach. You can hear the clanking of their fashionably armored boots. To the right is the Oracle, and on her left is Celine, an extremely sexy 30-something African-American female with a pair of goggles and a hairdo right out of cyberspace. In her arms, she is holding a crimson and silver crystal mask. Her brownish red cape drapes alongside of the multicolored flag that adorns the back of her helmet-like mask. In the other hand is a scroll with an embossed gold symbol on it. Celine, at attention, halts while the Oracle walks forward several paces ahead of her. The Oracle hesitantly looks back at Celine, who hands her the scroll. Before them both, the cocoon-like vessel immediately opens and lowers the cockpit seat. Nightlight walks from a sitting to a standing position with ease. The exterior of his vessel hides a dimensionally collapsible doorway that leads to an obviously larger compartment. At his left side is a Taki scimitar type sword. On his right is a gun holster.
Celine?
There's been a problem.
Celine walks forward with a smirk on her face.
Knight, you're in trouble.
As much trouble as the last time we were together?
The Oracle, wide-eyed, hands him the scroll.
More.
Opening the scroll is like opening a digital sliding drawer. Symbols flash wildly over the now open panel.
Feminism.
Several very important items are out of place and no one is claiming responsibility, yet everyone is to blame. The emperors have themselves called a gathering.
And you didn't think it important to tell me this before I came?
Why else would you get such a good docking spot?
Feminism.
Your comrade in arms, the Viking, arrived a day ago, and so did your brother and an army.
Warlords everywhere on Homeworld.
My brother is not a problem for...
The Ozymandians are here too. They were the army that escorted your brother.
The nightlight pauses as his head drops. Looking up sadly, he whispers. Palace hallway moments later. The ladies walk as briskly as possible down the hall while noticing the overobservance of the nightlight. His hand actually on his newfound gun, which is in his makeshift holster.
I see you brought your antique gun.
For a second, the nightlight breaks his concentration.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you'll get a chance to use it.
Definitely.
Uh-huh.
Take cold comfort, Knight. If I'm here, that means New Egypt's on your side.
Celine, the Egyptians were on my side at the last engagement, but as I recall, you sent them away.
Knight, take note that we may have been literally engaged. However, priorities and the Empire will always come first.
We could have formed our own empire, had our own kingdom.
The choice was made, and our kind have no regrets nor the time to tolerate them.
Nightlight looks forward again.
Uh-huh.
There's a close-up of Celine, who smiles confidently and coy as she proceeds to rush forward, ignoring him. Further up the corridor, the lights start to flicker wildly. At the main hallway behind each pillar is a figure. They are not hiding, yet obviously not in the open. As Celine approaches, one by one, the figures emerge from behind the columns. It is revealed that they are the Neo-Egyptians, elitists in stature, yet dressed like tech-heavy ninjas. Their punk hairstyles and reflective goggles belie a snobbish exterior.
Once again, we have to work with the Lepidopterans because of Celine, playful affections.
Sinister indeed, so concerned by my affairs that you yourself, were compromised. Purposely, I hope?
Of course.
Palace rooftop, seconds later in slow motion. At that exact moment, hooded scarecrows adorned in white rappel from the ceiling. A waterfall of rainbow-colored shattered glass pour over the occupants of the hallway like a deadly morning shower. The nightlight grabs the oracle as several of the Neo-Egyptians assist in covering her in a slow-motion escapade, allowing the viewers the chance to see every last millisecond of chaos. Celine and several of the Neo-Egyptians, amused, dodge the falling stained glass easily in an ethereal blur, yet some of the soldiers are not so lucky, falling to their knees. The unfortunate ones quickly hit their scarab symbols on their chest and shoulders, teleporting into a static-like wave of distortion out of view. The rest of the occupants of the hallway are now outnumbered. They are surrounded by mirrored glass and white-clad invaders. Palace hallway. Several extremely tall hooded scarecrows stand before the Neo-Egyptians and the crouching nightlight. The three in front lunge forward in fighting stances, while the one in the middle opens his robe. A white tumble of cloth and rag roll from his chest as the Ozymandian's warlord, Venger the Reaper Grim, rolls forth from the rags. The androgynous figure proper stance before the three ominous figures behind him belies his white Harlequin outfit. There is a moment of odd windswept silence as he signals the attack. Aerial white figures cast darkened shadows while flying across and over the still amused heads of Celine and now the motionless Neo-Egyptians.
Egyptians, claws up, fangs out.
The Neo-Egyptians release a series of raptor-like vampiric screams as they take the fight to the end.
One second. Jamonet, I'd like you to say that a little bit again, but this time put emphasis on the she's saying Egyptians, she's really commanding them. Egyptians, claws up, fangs out. You know what I'm saying? Just ready to attack. Okay, just one more time. I just want to see it. I just want to see it for myself. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right, you ready? Okay.
Egyptians, claws up, fangs out.
The Neo-Egyptians release a series of raptor-like vampiric screams as they take the fight to the air in a wire wrestling match to see who can pin who to the wall, the ground, and even the collapsing ceiling. The oracle is rushed to a nearby corridor, interior nearby corridor. Several of the Neo-Egyptians hurry the oracle, who has now drawn her Asagi-like weapon, through the hallway with the nightlight, with his sword and gun drawn closely following.
No! Sorry, I sneezed a little bit. No!
Nightlight immediately turns to see in plain view is the
Lepidopteran.
Lepidopteran warlord Tiamat. His fiery and permanent smiling gold and orange mask is ablaze in the eerie light. He is clad in brown leather from his knee-high boots, military pants, and jacket. On the outside of the jacket is a fancy weight belt and a Gregorian-style black and gold sash. He is surrounded by Ozymandian guards and tilts his head, gesturing in a so what manner.
Brother.
Nightlight immediately strikes his chest on the pendant that he took from the ship, and in that freeze frame moment, an arch of light jettisons from that point where he has struck, revealing his golden armor. His armor is a divine mix of both to see what seems to be angelic and insectoid. A steady cam reveals his lit up face inside his golden armor. Another camera reveals the blue lit face of the warlord Tiamat.
Why can't we ever be on the same side of anything?
Your ambition and aggression prevents that.
Okay.
A wave of tattered white rags and smoke flurry around the room in what seems to be an army of rushing and flurrying flags. The small group of Neo-Egyptians, along with the Oracle and Nightlight, form a tight circle. The wisp of rags racing past them and grows more intense. And in that moment of impending doom, something happens and the onslaught begins to sporadically lessen. In fact, a hole forms in the center of the rags, and slowly they flee and retreat due to the even greater presence approaching. Palatal skyline. What looks to be,
Palatial.
well, I'm sorry, what was that?
It's palatial.
Palatial, sorry. What looks to be a humongous UFO surrounded by numerous orbs of light, literally dividing a very brick and stone of the palace as if fabric or paper being torn to shreds. From the center of the UFO, from the center of the UFO, a ring of light appears within what seems to be a lowering door, opens and descends upon the occupants of the palace hallway.
Your luck never ceases to amaze me.
F&A.
The Empire starship. There is a flash of light and the Oracle is raised into the air. Her body is aglow as several orbs of light spark from the ship's doorway, zoom down in front of her and trace her face and form. The sparks of light descend and zoom back towards the spaceship, and something amazing appears. The doorway lands in front of Nightlight and Tiamat. Out of the lit doorway emerges two beings whose silhouettes show them standing as tall as two elephants on their hind legs. Behind the two figures is a humanoid yet alien female child. She is robed and has a celestial crown of bejeweled light around her helmet that looks like a silver owl. With a wave of her hands, space folds in on itself and reveals Venger, Tiamat, Saline, and the Nightlight, all in the same room as the Oracle and the childlike creature. The child can talk in voices both plural and singular in fashion. Her looks are deceiving because she is an ancient as the universe around her, and virtually as eternal. She is the know and is a representative of the Empire. Her modest silver and white robe ripples in the cosmic wind, revealing her face in a ripple of rainbow light that fades her helmet from view. The child has taken the form of a younger version of the Oracle, and now they are looking face to face. The Oracle's feet float slowly to the ground.
Luck is not a factor to be taken lightly, nor assumed necessary.
Excellent timing. May I then assume that this is the gathering you wanted?
Correct.
F&A.
As you all understand, several crucial items to your fruitfulness have gone missing. These items are of great importance to the stability of your perspective worlds.
3 larger-than-life orbs float quickly into place above the know as he points to each one, explaining their meaning and significance.
The first is why we insisted that the Ozymandians and the Lepidopterans come here at the same time. It is the time-altering Ozymandias crown.
In the first orb appears a blood-red crown, which with specks of gold adorning its tips.
You're
Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
No disrespect to the Empire, but it's common knowledge that altering time itself is a mystery, a virtual lie to the uninitiated and uneducated. It would be useless in common hands, nothing but a fancy trinket.
Correct. Again, yet the very construct of the crown takes the lie that it is time, and it makes it more tangible to the degree of creating a false concept of reality. Things age, they grow old, and instead of returning into the fabric of the universe the way they came into being, they literally fall out of existence.
Excellent. Then there would be no need to use weaponry to dispose of your rivals.
Tiamat throws a piercing stare at Nightlight.
Do not be so cavalier about that concept. In that reality, you'd be dead already.
Nightlight shrugs his shoulders.
You win some, you lose some.
Bickering siblings aside, how do we get the object?
Let the Ozymandians who are familiar with the mythology around the crown and Lepidopteran warlord who greatly needs to know the gravity and responsibility of that object retrieve it.
All five react. Tiamat is so pleased he openly laughs. The Ozymandian warlord, however, disagrees, and to everyone's shock removes his helmet, revealing a blue-skinned Asian female.
I am no respecter of any person. Therefore, I feel that is complete foolishness.
There is a moment of pure shock in response to both the actions and words of Venger. Celine removes her helmet, grimacing yet very astonished at the revelation.
Figures you'd be a woman.
Venger slights Celine with a glance and continues.
The Ozymandians disposed of the crown of Ozymandias after seeing that it took too high a toll on our world only to have the Empire lay claims to it. It is your problem now.
At that moment, the silhouette of a muscular man walks out of the light behind the two enormous figures in the doorway. He is the Viking, and the golden floral wreath around his golden halo adorning his head says it all as he removes his helmet.
Damn near destroyed your entire civilization.
Precisely. We want nothing to do with it. The Empire screwed this up. Let them fix it.
Whether you like it or not, you are an integral part of the solution since you know so much about the object.
Whoever took the crown knew exactly what it did to your people, and if I were you, I'd be concerned if they wanted to do it again.
Tiamat still looking at Nightlight.
I see your boyfriend is here.
You better be referring to the Oracle if you are insinuating anything about me, or I'd sooner.
Nightlight, now is not the time.
The node proceeds to point to the second orb, which whips between Nightlight and the Oracle, while the first orb moves in front of Venger and Tiamat.
Do not be concerned, Ozymandian. When your skills are combined with that of the Lepidopterans, it will be enough to regain safely the item. Therefore, you Venger and you Tiamat are the two best choices for this venture.
Tiamat steps forward, sparking.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
So be it.
The next item is the Maloner template.
Majoner template. Yeah, Majoner.
Madoner template.
Within the second orb appears a multicolored rainbow warhammer.
According to the Vikings people, this weapon can decide quickly the outcome of any battle. What the Viking and his people did not know is that there is one of these in every dimensional state, and just like all things in the universe, there are levels and layers, some obvious while others are extremely hidden. The issue is that these layers are not to overlap. They should not coexist side by side, which for some reason is now happening exponentially with the hammer. Hence, the Viking himself has been called directly into play.
The No actually steps to the side, allowing the Viking to step forward. He speaks frankly.
The Empire has decided to break us up into teams of 2, making for the most part of our armies useless.
Rules were meant to be broken.
The No reacts to his words and makes eye contact with Tiamat.
Your ambition has revealed more than you have wanted. Lepidopteran warlord, hence the decision has just been finalized. The Neo-Egyptian's canny, stealth, and skill will make her a good partner with the Viking in his quest to regain the template. Lepidopteran warlord, some of the Empire wanted you to get the hammer, yet an army of soldiers all wielding a variant of the Madonna template seemed too much of a temptation and a concern. With those words you just murmured, our speculations were confirmed.
The No shifts attention and points to the third orb. There is a light shift within the third orb. One half of the orb is dark and the other half is bright. Between the two halves is a golden axe.
The concept of creation and destruction are connected, and some tools symbolically hold both meanings. One of those tools is the Green Man's axe. It makes its way periodically to different parts of the universe, both when it is needed and when it should be used. The Empire thought that when the axe appeared on Homeworld, it had found its final resting place, but when it vanished, the other items went with it. We know this because Homeworld has just begun to shift orbit, and the planet that it resurfaced on has ceased its rotation, causing one half of the planet to be perpetually cast in its darkness, and the other half in light.
The No points to the Oracle.
You, soldier, with your uncanny knowledge of Homeworld, will be paired with the other Lepidopteran.
The No looks over at Nightlight.
Yes, your loyalty to Homeworld and the Empire is renowned. Retrieve the axe, and that kingdom you jokingly desire is yours.
Effing woohoo!
Outrageous. Oh,
Be not dismayed. Upon fulfilling your quests, the Empire will reward you all equally.
well, that's better.
Sinister, Tiamat and Venger with their own kingdoms.
But we'll have kingdoms of our own.
Nightlight is overjoyed.
Let's do this.
Each one of the orbs moves in front of each of the prospective teams, just as the Viking hops down from the doorway and stands next to Saline.
Warriors, reach into the orbs and grab the keys to your success.
Saline reaches into the orb and grabs a kite-shaped war fan, similar to the ones used by samurai on the battlefield. Venger and Tiamat both reach into their orb and remove a blood-red fan, the shape of an African war club. The Oracle reaches for the orb and Nightlight stops her hand as if to ask for permission to grab the fan for her. She nods. The No smiles so briefly and brashly at Nightlight, pulls from the orb a golden spiked fan. There are symbols embossed on it, showing two figures facing each other. The alien child proceeds to walk back through the doorway, where numerous figures are seen in the silhouetted light. The No holds up 3 fingers while walking through the doorway.
The 3 items are all found on one world. On the dark side of that world lies the template. On the light side, the crown, and in the middle dividing that world is the axe. It's there for a reason. Be careful. In each of your hands, you hold a piece of the Empire. Use it wisely.
The doorway raises into the clouds as the 3 teams wonder at the objects in their hands. Nightlight once again nods at the Oracle, then Nightlight at full speed races away from the site. The Oracle looks confused as Nightlight gestures to her to move forward, at which point she dashes after him. Saline and the Viking gaze into each other's eyes and with warrior bravado step through the rubble side by side as the white tattered shadow rags have returned, but this time they whisk both Venger and Tiamat away. Palatial docking port, moments later, an
Palatial.
sorry.
Yeah.
An ominous battleship races upwards through the clouds on it. On its balcony is Venger and Tiamat. On the ground are 2 conspicuously different ships. One is clearly a warship, its heavy dark armor giving it away as Saline's personal cruiser. Next to it is Nightlight's cocoon vessel. Its back hatch is open and the Oracle is seen shoving and tossing bags of equipment into it vigorously.
How much cargo can your ship hold?
Without being technical about it, I'd say about 3 treasure rooms worth of stash.
Excellent. You know, I don't trust your brother's newfound responsibility, but I will always trust the Empire.
They would have not paired us together this way or allowed us to travel with our own vehicles if something was not either amiss or expected to change.
Why do you think I'm packing so much stuff?
You're high maintenance for a low-tech girl.
How about a good defense is a strong offense?
The Viking approaches with an extremely heavily armed Saline.
It is also a great deterrent as long as your adversary doesn't know you are outnumbered and underestimates your capabilities.
In this situation, let's hope for a little of both.
The four look at the skyline changing as the remaining starship of the Empire leaves the divided world exterior. A rune-shaped portal opens just outside the orbiting planet as the 2 vehicles from the homeworld port race single file out of the entrance. Saline's cruiser is in front and banks left, allowing Nightlight's cocoon ship to jettison forward. The giant bluish-red planet is frozen in place with a heavy shadow falling on one side, with the other side lit as if it was always meant to be perpetual night and day. The moons of that world are, however, spinning at various rates, giving away a distinct look of imbalance. On the horizon are a fleet of Ozymandian warships as the 2 now rather small-looking vehicles grind to a halt. Saline's cruiser. The Viking is standing, arms braced before a dashboard akin to a stone altar with crystalline obelisks. Saline walks to the altar and places her hand firmly on the smooth, round orb in the center. Several other circular stone orbs. A screen manifests above the dashboard with Venger on it. In the background, a similarly arm-braced Tiamat stands as if Darth Vader were a golden horned b-boy. Venger's mask is off and she looks cocky.
Ozymandians, acknowledge. This is Saline of the...
Acknowledged.
She is cut short.
Acknowledged. I see you have woefully decided to come here underprepared. Be informed that the Ozymandians do not help lessors or are not prone to charity.
Obstinate idiot, we merely wish to reinforce our rules of engagement on this world.
Then we already have.
Saline's screen goes blank.
That was to be expected.
Would you have it any other way?
Saline then proceeds to hail Nightlight on a new screen.
Acknowledge, Nightlight.
Acknowledged, Saline.
Did you see the transmission?
Clearly.
The idiots were expecting us to show up with battalions instead of truly infiltrating as individuals like the Empire wants.
No worries. If the fat lady starts to sing, I'll be the one leading the chorus.
You and Old Earth vernacular.
Morgan?
So sorry. Old Earth vernacular aside, let's get this over with.
I agree.
Don't forget that the axe is strategically in the same location as the template and the crown while dividing the 2 at this particular point.
Vike, you'll spend most of the time with the Empire. Is there any intel that you have been keeping from us?
If I do have that such information, be assured that it is hidden so deep within my psyche that at this point, I myself have very little knowledge of it.
And knowledge is half the battle.
Saline and the Oracle both sigh.
Here we go.
Night, don't start.
True.
But knowledge is power.
There is an exterior shot of both ships descending to the planet's surface.
Of course.
And absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Nightlight, our known universe is going.
And when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Enough.
The brightly lit red rocks of planet's surface. The 2 ships of Saline and Nightlight land adjacent to one another on the rocky surface. Over the hilltop, the darkened shadowed divider line of the axis is seen, and to the surprise of the travelers, movement is seen as well. A small cloaked figure approaches the group holding a staff. The travelers ready themselves for an attack when the Viking points to the figure. It is the No, holding a finger to his or her mouth, signaling silence. The No points to the mounds near the edge of the division line horizon. There are 3 doors there with 3 exceptionally tall and robed female figures standing next to them. One door is on the dark side of the borderline. The other one is on the light side, and the final door definitively between the line of the light and the dark shadows stretching across the planet. The arches of each door is pillared in a sharp similar to a fans that each traveler is carrying, except there is an animal-like image in the center of each shape. The doorways moment later. The travelers approach the doorways when the silence is broken. From out of the dark mist, Venger and Tiamat step forth from the smoke.
On time, brother.
Did you expect me to be late?
Knowledge is power.
What did you mean by that?
Tiamat turns away from Nightlight and faces Venger, who also begins to laugh.
I believe he's referring to our communique with Celine.
How is that possible? It was private.
They seem to have found a way to overhear it.
Nightlight stomps over to Tiamat.
Despite the numerous infringements on my personal activities, you find it necessary to also spy on a conversation of others whom do you not even care to know.
Hey, call it a personality flaw of a true emperor to be. Intel is intel, Nightlight.
There is a look of disdain on the face of the No.
Save the combativeness for whatever lies behind each of those doors. The Empire has given each one of you another gift, a tour guide.
The 3 tall figures step forward.
Each guide is familiar with the mythology and knowledgeable of the trickery used by the inhabitants of this world. Be aware that the doors themselves can be used to reveal the truth.
2 questions. Are tour guides shapeshifters?
No.
Okay, then does the very light of these doors also unmask deception?
In all ways.
Nightlight draws his sword quickly and strikes his tour guide down in one bloody blow. The splat is somewhat more vulgar than even Nightlight expected. However, in that moment of shock, he shakes the greenish hue mess from his sword.
Why?
When the guide for our door past the light from the door, exposed a very masculine white cloaked arm and hand, that of an Osmantian. Knowing what was at stake, I could not allow the risk of an unnecessary delay prevent our success.
The second tour guide, by the very well-lit door, rushes past the Viking, who similarly trips the rather tall woman. Yet before he can question her, a bolo-type weapon wraps around her neck. With one yank, Venger removes her head and incinerates her body. Tiamat turns to his guide, and there's a moment of shock as he grabs her by the neck. The illusion is revealed as the tall woman materializes through the smoke.
Well, my lady, it was worth a try.
She mumbles his name as she is incinerated in his very grasp.
Sinister.
Outrageous.
Do you actually think we would allow my brother to access the prize before we could attain it?
Venger, what say of you of this ruse?
What say you?
You do know that this is why Nightlight will more than likely receive this kingdom before all of you.
At this point, are you actually going to tell us not to get the crown or the other items?
Of course not. But because you betrayed the Empire, your fleets will be destroyed.
In the sky above, the travelers, in a momentary flash of light, as a small ring of debris grows brighter, spreading wider from a central point just above the clouds. Then there is an ear-shattering explosion that causes all the travelers to cringe.
You may betray each other, but to the Empire, your tricks are both childish and expected. Return the items.
F&A.
Sinister.
The Viking laughs heartedly as he and Celine walk through the first portal, eyeballing Venger and Tiamat. Celine follows, looking up at the symbol of the dog spewing arrows and swords like vomit. Tiamat wraps himself in his cloak and walks hurried through the doorway while Venger, grabbing her naginata and glaring angrily, walks through the doorway. She never turns back to the no as she enters the portal. Above the door is the symbol of a vulture made of bones, and the very perch is made of jagged thorns. Nightlight looks at the no.
They are the worst of us.
More like the most pathetic. You do not share that familiar trait.
Nightlight smiles as he and the Oracle walk through the central door. Above their heads is the symbol of a deer doubled over in pain, with several arrows piercing its side, and a figure with a bow and a crowned head standing above the dying deer. The image of the figure is similar to the one-eyed smiley face on Nightlight's gun, except he doesn't notice it. The figure's head is a circle and the crown is separate. Even the bow is a simple abstract arch shaped, while the deer is very detailed. The camera follows the Nightlight and the Oracle as they are transported to a place where both the day and the night sky merge on the horizon as like two half discs. The moon itself is reminiscent of a slightly highlighted version of the dark side of the moon, yet there is a bright ring of light around its edge, making the darkened sky behind it look ominous. The setting sun has a corona of fire around its edge, like a bonfire in the morning sky. Because of this, there is an external dusk foreboding of something gone terribly wrong. A land of external dusk. Nightlight emerges from the portal first. He immediately draws his gun and sword at the sight before him. There are two statues facing each other on a descending narrow path into an abyss-like valley. The statues appear human yet gigantic, and both are holding enormous axes with horned caps that seem Persian in origin. Their mouths are covered with metal plates that are bolted to their faces. At the entranceway, there are hieroglyphs that seem extremely odd and familiar to those of the Egyptians, yet distinctly different. They are pure pictographs and seem to tell a story. The Oracle follows suit as she leaves the portal, drawing forth her Asagi weapon and hip pistol.
Euphemism. Celine would love this. You're a communication specialist. What do you make of it?
Seems to be a battle. Oh, and a warning.
She points with her Asagi to the images of the two hunters with the spears and conch shells on their hands, in their hands.
They trespassed and hunted someplace they were not meant to, and they were attacked.
She points again with her Asagi-like weapon. The Nightlight grabs gently her spear. She gets the hint, and they both sheath their weapons.
Anyway, the rightful owners of the land they were hunting on attacked and punished them. The message ends with them being strewn in pieces as a warning to others. Do not enter here.
Got a feeling that those two may have been hunting here.
Hunting or protecting.
All right. From here on, as much silence as possible.
The Oracle nods her head as they both move forward past the statues, whose eyes seem to follow them. Over the horizon, as they move down the path, the walls along the side of them raise higher, yet the odd moonscape and sunrise never seem to change as they travel. They pass another set of statues, and these are two dogs. Once again, the eyes seem to follow the travelers. Before long, they come to an opening just ahead of the deepest part of the path. It seems like they have been walking forever before they reach this point, leading to the abyss-like valley. Nightlight looks up and sees two more statues on the now abysmal cliffs overhead. These two are vultures, and the placement causes the Nightlight to give pause. Nightlight unsheathes his sword.
Speak.
About what?
That's plenty.
I was wondering when we could break silence.
Do you feel that?
What?
I have an idea. Wait here, but do not let your guard down.
Nightlight walks ahead into the abysmal valley, signaling her to stay put. His walk is glib, almost carefree. He stops again and stretches as if to yawn. Patiently, he turns his head towards the oracle, and as she draws her gun, a thunderous gust of wind smashes the nightlight, knocking him almost to the ground and throwing him about like a marionette being cut from the strings of a destructive child. The sight is so disturbing that the oracle cannot begin to understand where to attack, so she lunges forward, and at that moment, the nightlight shouts,
No, not yet.
He flings his sword several feet right at the oracle, making sure its point stabs the ground in front of her. And that is when she sees the giant silhouette flinch away from her. It is one of the two statues from the entrance, and the oracle circles frantically because if there is one statue attacking him, where are the others? The abysmal valley. The oracle turns to see a pair of glaring red eyes bearing down on her, as if a dog were charging her. She fires her gun at the dog ghost as she dodges his attack.
Don't shoot.
The fire from her gun flares wildly as it pivots up and races towards the skyline, sparking off the cliffs where there is a vulture-like statue. She looks on. She looks, and on closer examination sees several odd discs next to the statue. The reflective discs are apparent and now are placed one in front of each statue, including the dog statues. The oracle looks further down the path they just traveled to see where let me start over. The oracle looks further down the path they just traveled to see where the dog statues were at the time it is confirmed.
Nightlight, it's the discs. They seem to react to and absorb energy.
I know, even sound.
Nightlight spins frenzied battling away from invisible assailants. It is almost humorous when the oracle notices that the giants from the entrance are being attacked too. However, she takes the initiative and charges back towards the path they just came out of at full speed. She runs past the vulture perch to where the dogs were at and grabs a huge stone. As she lifts it above her head, she hears a low rumble that turns into a growl. Holding the stone above her head, she looks up to see a pair of red eyes glowing just above the reflective disc she is about to smash.
Uh-oh.
At that moment, a huge stone axe goes crashing just above the glowing eyes into something unseen. There is a yelp, and an impact of the axe into the unseen object is so loud that the oracle loses her balance, yet still hurls the stone, breaking the disc. There is a series of howls throughout the valley. The oracle regains her balance and proceeds to pick up another stone, immediately smashing the other disc. The howls turn into a series of yelps. The oracle looks back at the valley to see the two giant statues fully animated and now helping Nightlight defend himself, as well as themselves from another aerial attack. With this new clarity, she notices the vulture statue looking more like a harpy than a bird. Cliff walls. The oracle begins to scale the perilous wall. There's enough jagged edges and shrubbery to maintain a grip and keep good footing, yet the view beneath her is bizarre at least. Three figures, two stone giants and Nightlights, swing and fight at what seem to be hordes of avian attackers. She hurries at a quicker pace when she sees at the reflective disc and what is clearly not a vulture, but a half-bird woman creature. It is the Harpy Queen.
I'm close to die, I see.
Shocked at the words, the oracle presses her back to the cliff's wall, grasping the wall tightly.
Not in the least.
Good. You have no fear, but you will fall.
And who's going to push me?
Arrogant, defiant. Your bones will be a delicious snack on the valley floor.
The Harpy Queen takes off, soaring, then disappearing in and out of the cloud-covered valley. The oracle steps lightly over the reflective disc just as the harpy circles back. She notices that the harpy has a series of jewels on its head. She pulls out both weapons and begins to jab and discharge full blast at the disc, which seems to empower the harpy. The harpy swoops, at which point the oracle opens her arms and falls back. The harpy, unable to stop, crashes wildly into the reflective disc just behind the now flat on her back oracle. The sturdy disc, now loose, falls slightly off its brace, enough for the oracle to step over the dazed harpy and pry the disc free from the cliff. It crashes and breaks on the ground below, releasing a smoke from its stone form. The harpy morphs. The discless cliff edge. The harpy now looks more woman-like and turns towards the chaos below. The oracle gets into a fighting stance as the now woman-like harpy reaches into the crevice where the reflective disc once stood. She places a ring on her deformed finger.
To recognize royalty in any form is a gift that only someone with true sight can see. The harpies and I, their queen Angelica, thank you.
The harpy queen, Angelica, raises her ringed hand into the air and transforms again into what could only be described as an angelic, as the ghost-like creatures from the valley floor shoot like stars into the cloud-filled sky. Angelica turns towards the oracle with tears in her eyes.
Thank you.
Valley floor. A disheveled nightlight, half off balance, walks towards an ecstatic oracle.
I think we've made some incredible progress and potential allies.
Let's hope so. Look.
At the far end of the descending valley, a huge stone wall tumbles away, revealing hieroglyphs. The two giants sit on both sides of the hieroglyphs as if exhausted as the travelers approach the wall for interpretation.
What does it say?
The first series of images. Crap, too little, too late.
What?
This is a warning about the harpies. An army came here in response to a dispute.
Don't tell me. They were going to settle whose canyon this belongs to.
Exactly. But the army that came failed and were cursed and changed.
Into harpies and demon dogs.
There's a catch. The images show them celebrating. Some are eating while others are drinking, yet others are reveling in gold and treasure. This valley was a pathway to a place that is very fruitful. Those that took the gold became winged beasts, and those that ate the food and drink of this land became dogs.
The oracle looks over at the two giants who move closer to the travelers.
So grief-stricken were the true owners of the land that they, too, ingested the curse. However, it began to curse the land. For this reason alone, it became the last meal the rightful owners ate, sealing their mouths forever until the land was healed. The true owners could have removed the curse, but realizing that others would come and make the same mistake. Hence, they vowed to never remove the steel plates that have forever been a silent warning about this once prosperous land.
The giants slump their heads in grief. At that moment, the stone wall collapses to reveal two sets of pillars at the entranceway to an even deeper valley with what seems to be a mist-covered wall at its far end. The giants stand at the sides of the now collapsed wall, motionless, but in view of the pathway, the pillars at the valley gates. A woman wearing a red ceremonial gown and looking more like vegetation than flesh walks around the pillars at the gates. She avoids eye contact and focuses on the altar at the pillar gateway. She is setting out what looks like an offering of gold and food when she questions the travelers. At this time, she looks up past the travelers to the stone giants further up the hill of what they just now descended.
Greetings, weary travelers. I am of the valley. Have you come to dine with me?
We see that you have prepared a table for us, but we most graciously decline.
Then why have you come?
We have come to obtain an item that we were informed that has been misplaced on this land.
It is only I and my husband here, and all we have is here before you.
Nightlight nudges the oracle.
Oh, then let's not be rude by taking what little you have.
The oracle cuts into Nightlight's response.
Perhaps we can offer you our services.
The green wife pauses and then makes direct eye contact with the oracle.
What could you offer me or my husband?
Perhaps the chance to meet someone of similar interests and yet greater power and prestige than you can imagine.
And who might this be?
We're from an empire where there are more emperors with greater lands than this. Some even own entire worlds composed of many kingdoms.
You lie.
Surely I would not lie upon first meeting a person such as you, who has at our first meeting been so gracious.
Then perhaps it is time I introduce you to my husband. He is just down this path.
She begins to walk further past the pillar gates, down a vacant stony path with the travelers following not too closely behind, her red gown whipping unnaturally in the air around her.
Careful. The hieroglyphs didn't mention them.
And the giants haven't made a move since she appeared.
My husband will be pleased to meet you.
I'm sure.
It's truly nice of you to welcome us.
The red gown flings away from the now nude green woman who disappears from before their eyes. The travelers stand in a place from the spot where she disappeared. Emerges from a bent position is a rather large green man who is wearing a golden headdress. His chest and back is bare yet covered with tattoos, and the odd imagery, including a plethora of different axes. A chain falls from his left side as he begins to walk forward to reach, and he reaches with right hand behind his back.
Whatever you are, we come in peace.
The green man's path. Standing before them is a hulk of a being whose body seems to be made of moss and vegetation. In his right hand is now a golden massive axe with a chain from his left hand attached to the end of it. His headdress is reminiscent of a stag. The oracle opens fire so precise that every hit looks like a surgeon's scapula when it strikes. Nightlight joins in with his antique laser gun. Illuminated, the monster is not phased. In fact, he's kind of enjoying the irradiation. The Nightlight signals the oracle to stop.
Nate, he's enjoying it.
No, God, of course. He's a plant. We're just charging him up.
This calls for a garden tool.
Nightlight sheaths his gun and draws his sword, with the oracle following suit by drawing her asagi.
On the count of 3, we attack.
3.
Nightlight quickly lunges toward their adversary, who is swinging the massive axe in a kata boasting of his strength. The first blow is from the green man, which misses as Nightlight swiftly runs past him with a devastatingly quick double slash. The green man shakes a little, and a few leaves fall from his side. It appears as if he is unscathed. They face each other once again, but this time, Nightlight is jostling back and forth like a tennis pro with a sword instead of a tennis racket.
Gonna make this difficult, huh?
You're muted, Alan. You're muted now.
Violator.
So that's your name. Or are you calling me that?
The monster screams like an overrevved engine and swings so quickly that it nicks the side of Nightlight. In turn, the opportunity allows Nightlight to strike the arm brace of the creature. His sword bounces back so violently that the Nightlight has to switch hands to compensate for the still reverberating sword.
You seem to have a little bit of kickback. No wonder you sound like a classic convertible pre-tuned up.
At that instant, the oracle leaps from the cliff side onto the green man's back and starts stabbing the monster with her asagi. For the first time, he looks as if he is in pain, and she wraps her arms around his neck. Nightlight springs forward, cutting repeatedly the waist and chest of the creature. It is not enough as he flings the oracle. In a whirlwind of motion to the ground, she slides across the turf like a paper doll caught in a zephyr. The green man is, however, off balance, and Nightlight takes advantage of the moment in the oddest of ways. Grabbing the oracle's asagi, he lunges under the monster's legs and stabs the green man's foot into the ground. It looks odd yet Herculean when the Nightlight stands straight up, toppling the giant. The massive creature hits the ground with a resounding thud. Wincing, he grabs for the injured foot when Nightlight spins behind the creature, whacking the back of his head like a gardener cutting through dense shrubs. All sorts of vegetation is strewn about with every swing and chop. It is almost overly brutal until finally the green man crumbles into the soil. His axe disappears as the Oracle, shaken up but ready for action, steps to Nightlight's side. The camera angle is from the perspective of the fallen mass of vegetation. All that is left is the green man's headdress.
A classic convertible.
Nightlight reaches down and grabs the somewhat lighter than expected headdress.
Yeah, his top must have been down.
The travelers reach the gate, the pillar gates. The traveler reaches the gates holding the green man's crown when they notice the two silent giants. The plates that covered their mouths are gone, and they are sitting at the altar eating food and wearing some of the jewelry and gold that was on the table. The two travelers walk slowly toward the table. Nightlight set the headdress down before them. There is a look of resolve on their faces, on the faces of both giants. One of the giants grabs the item while the other stands and walks towards the gates. Both the Oracle and Nightlight stand at attention, ready for anything, when the giant at the gates removes a slab from the wall of the pillar. In it is a shell-shaped fan that, once removed, opens a new doorway. The giant at the pillar hands the fan to the Oracle and points towards the door. As both Nightlight and the Oracle walks towards the new doorway, the fan and the other giants catch up with them and stop Nightlight. Nightlight grabs for his sword when the giant, smiling, hands him the green man's headdress and backs away. There are a few moments of hesitation as both the Oracle and Nightlight walk somberly through the doorway, the garden treasure room. The two exit the doorway to see they are in a mirrored treasure room, and to their surprise, on a stand is the green man's axe. However, there is a field of energy around it. Every time you try to grab the axe, they are repulsed at first, softly, then more intensely with each try. That is when Nightlight and the Oracle see lying next to the energy field is the green wife's cloak. The two look at each other.
I ain't putting that thing on.
Got a problem with women's wear?
You saw what that thing did. At first she was a woman and then she took it off and became a beast man. What if that's what it does? I mean, it turns you into a crazy old lady, and then when you take it off, you're a monster.
So you want that to happen to me?
No worries. You're so small, I could probably take you out, probably.
The garden treasure room later. The Oracle has on a ceremonial cloak and reaches for the axe, and unlike before, gets a stronger zap.
Apparently, apparel is not the answer.
Try it again.
Reluctantly, she reaches out again, but is cut short by Nightlight.
This time with the headdress.
You got it in for me?
No, just curious. Just curious. Just try it.
Putting on the headdress, the energy field dampens, and as she reaches for the axe, the energy field vanishes. She tries to lift the axe, but it's too heavy. So Nightlight grabs and lifts the axe as the door in front of them leading outside cracks open. The light outside the doors fills the two with hope as they march forward. Before them is an even more magnificent view. It is the place where they just, it is the place where they were just at, fully restored. The sky is not divided. Everything is green and blue with immaculate floral design everywhere. So pleased they are with what they see that they forget the grievousness of what they were just at the events leading up to the cataclysm, and click off their armor. They walk out from the treasure room doors feeling victorious and looking like they were the royalty that built it. The portal of mirrors and light. Tiamat exits the doorway with a miffed look on his face. He has been thwarted prematurely, And even though he expected some difficulty, he did not like being humiliated. Behind him is Venger, who is even more angry.
They will pay.
She removes and slams her helmet on the rock slab next to the doorway entrance and stabs her naginata into the ground. For the first time, we see Venger emotional and disturbed by the lack of control over the transpiring events.
For every Ozymandian vanquished on the battleship.
Yeah, you're muted.
Set your humiliation aside. The symbol on our doorway was a vulture perched on a pile of bones. What does that mean?
Venger responds while repeatedly slamming her on a stone slab.
In a culture such as ours, on a carrion bird is revered because it reflects the nature of death itself. You do what you must to survive, even if it means eating the dead, which all hunters eventually do after they kill their prey. The vulture is wise. It knows to let others kill.
Oh, mimicry. Oh, please.
Venger walks towards Tiamat.
Excuse
me? If the vulture represents death and the wisdom gained from its lessons, then the vulture itself is no different than the pile of bones it's resting on. Eventually, the vulture will be the bones with something feeding on its carcass. Like the concept of smoke and mirrors, it's a convoluted reflection of itself.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, more than that. Here it is, a reality. Venger, where's your helmet?
Venger turns to the stone slab to see that the helmet is missing. A chaotic laugh is heard, echoing about the cavernous terrain around them as Venger and Tiamat frantically look for the source of the laughter.
Did you allow any of your men to come through the portal before us?
And let them get the prize? Never.
Well, then we meet our first challenge.
On the precipice ahead of Tiamat is black-robed figure. He is dressed identical to Venger down to the last detail, except he is clearly a male version of her in opposite colors. He is a mimic of Venger, and he is holding her mask.
It is dangerous in these lands to leave the items laying around.
Clearly.
Venger slams the button on her shoulder sleeve, and the helmet flickers in the mimic's hands, temporarily disappearing and reappearing on her head. However, in the end, the helmet remains in the mimic's hands.
I do believe you will have to come and get it.
Venger notices the mimic throwing the helmet away, yet continues to hit the shoulder button as the mimic jumps down from the precipice and approaches her.
Venger, forget the helmet.
A look of determination flashes across Venger's face as she takes a hard martial arts stance. The mimic does the opposite, actually loosening up via Bruce Lee. He points to her naginata. She shakes her head no. He then, very relaxed, walks slowly to her and places his wrist against hers in a loose yet cautious fighting stance in style. There is a pause. They fight. The mimic's battleground. The styles are two facets of the same martial art form. That's Horangdo. Horangdo, I'm sorry. His is completely fluid style, while hers is extremely aggressive, so much so that the camera has to slow down to show his speed and adjust to almost 3D angles to show the power of her attacks. As the battle ensues, Tiamat glimpses to the left of the makeshift circle of death to see a path leading to a virtually hidden grotto. Before him is a hedge maze taller than the horns on his helmet. Sneering at the combatants, Tiamat opportunistically walks towards the entrance to the maze. When the edge of the entrance, he sees something he was clearly expecting.
Ooh, you do not look shocked or amazed. Well, It's to be expected of a trap.
Just then, a second mimic of Tiamat steps into frame.
Clearly.
Tiamat turns behind him.
Pause
Another
a second.
copy of himself.
Pause a second. Ed,
Yeah.
before you say, just say mimic and then say second mimic or mimic number 2. Okay.
Okay, so announce who I am before I say the line. Okay,
Right, because it'll be
gotcha.
confusing.
It is confusing. Yeah, I understand. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, gotcha.
You want to start with the first mimic?
Yeah, mimic of Tiamat. Yep. So okay, all right. So first mimic of Tiamat. You don't look shocked nor amazed. Well, Tiamat myself. Well, it's to be expected of a trap.
Just then, the second mimic of Tiamat steps into frame.
Second mimic. Clearly.
Tiamat turns behind him to see another copy of himself.
Tiamat himself. Is this to be some sort of fisticuffs? Second Tiamat. Well, if you need. Mimic of Tiamat. Clearly. Tiamat himself. Then, gentlemen, let the games begin.
Tiamat, as if vapor vanishes and reappears behind the first mimic. The second mimic points over the head of the first, who turns to see Tiamat already deep in the hedge maze. They both look pleasantly at him.
Tiamat, is this not where the events of your trap are to take place?
Their expressions change to a more malevolent stare as they too disappear and reappear on both sides of Tiamat. He again vanishes even further into the hedge maze. Walking forward, he reaches a circular grotto within hedge maze grotto, and in front of him, at the far entrance of the area, appears one of the mimics.
Mimic of Tiamat. Why did you make this a deal so easy?
The other mimic is now behind Tiamat.
Second mimic. You freely walked into our trap. Tiamat himself. Well, why expend my energies and exhaust myself when I can dispatch of you and any and all of your mimicry in one blow?
Both the mimics together.
And the mimics. We shall see.
The mimics both grab large trident-like poles from the entrances at the same time as a flurry of flashes illuminate the maze as Tiamat appears and reappears in and as multiple versions of himself. The only clear distinction is the mimics are holding the tridents. Tiamat appears in the center of the grotto where the wading pool is at. In the center of the pool's watering bowl, he notices that the red glow is actually coming from the crown of which they were seeking. He reaches in to grab it as the trident pierces his chest, both stabbing him and electrocuting him at the same time. The second trident pierces his kidney as he staggers to the ground. Wincing, he grabs both tridents and stands to his feet.
Mimic. You made this too simple. Well, the second mimic. Yeah, they always do. Tiamat. Well, gentlemen, we could do this all day. However, your time is up.
The camera freeze frames on Tiamat's eyes as they light up like fireworks. There is a flash, the outer edges of the hedge maze moments later. From the center of the enormous maze, there is an atomic blast of light similar to that of World War II Japan, except that as the explosion rises into the air, a magical path is burned towards the doorway in which Tiamat enters the maze. As the fires burn away at the edge of the maze, the view shifts to Venger and her mimic. They hesitate briefly as the orange mushroom cloud rises over the hilltop. However, they continue to pulverize each other in a frenzy of kicks and punches. Back at the maze is a somewhat unimpressed living Tiamat who walks over burning cinders and debris towards the center of the maze where he admires the crown.
I guess I did make this too simple.
He vanishes in a vapor haze just as the nose steps out of the ash-covered hedges.
A little bit too simple.
The gnome walks out of the burning maze and with a wave of a hand miraculously restores the maze to its previous form. Treasure room, garden, exterior. Nightlight and the oracle walk from the treasure room into the romantic setting of the garden. There is a soft haze of light that colors everything in shades of pastel. The two walk together without their armor on in what seems to be a forced forgetfulness of the events that transpired. There is a field of flowers ahead of them, and the oracle walks center of the field and plops down Indian style on the ground. Despite his better judgment, Nightlight kneels next to her like a samurai in a Japanese tea house. Confused, he speaks.
This is not right.
The oracle looks over, as placid as a dove in its nest, questioning his statement with her eyes. The Nightlight speaks again, blinking heavily.
Why are we here?
The oracle, still wearing the cloak, shrugs her shoulders as the Nightlight looks down at his hands. He is holding the axe and the headdress of the Green Man in each hand. The image and the sound of the Green Man screaming flashes through his mind as he drops the axe and headdress. He grabs the oracle and begins to shake her profusely.
Snap out of it. The items in this place is cursed.
Huh? Oh, you had a very good dad. He treasured you.
What?
When you were a child and your parents sent you to the military academy, it was your dad who made sure you received extra snacks and meals. He even bribed the janitor to keep an eye on you.
How?
You didn't even notice how clean your locker and work areas were. A silver spoon in your mouth led to golden armor. Jeez, that janitor sure was thorough.
How do you know that?
It's as clear in my mind as it is in yours. Ethnism. You and Saline did that before you were engaged.
The cloak. Take off the cloak.
Nightlight immediately leads the wobbling oracle out of the garden after picking up the axe and headdress. He begins to remove the cloak from her shoulders when she snaps out of it.
Good, you are snapping out of it.
The oracle flinches and grabs the cloak at her bosom.
Please, if I wanted to do something nefarious, I would have done it back there. Cloak or no cloak. By the way, how did you know so much about my past?
The oracle fluffs and rubs the cloak.
It was as clear as my own memories. Actually, I'm seeing more.
Take it off.
No, this is a gift and an advantage.
Is that why the Green Man, who was, in fact, the Green Man's wife, cast the robe off before changing shape and gender to attack us? I don't trust it. Take it off.
The oracle agrees and begins to remove the robe when there is an explosion. They run to a walled section of the garden and peek over its edge to see.
F&A. Didn't those guys just fly away?
Over the edge, an army led by Angelica is ransacking the lower gardens. The Mimic's battleground later. Tiamat materializes on the adjacent hilltop to see that the battle has now moved to higher ground and has grown more bloody. It almost appears as if Venger is losing when Tiamat voices concern.
Ed, you're muted still. Ed, you're muted. Ed, there you
Gotcha. Sorry. Yep. Yeah. Tell me when you two get through dancing. It's time to leave.
Tiamat draws from his cloak the crown. The eyes of the mimic open to the point of being fearful. The brutal aerial attack and finishing moves done by Venger is straight out of a comic book with its wire-like precision. The mimic slams to the ground, upon which Venger grabs her new victim and begins to pummel him fist to face repeatedly until even Tiamat looks away in revulsion. A bloody fist Venger joins Tiamat.
Kind of sadistic. That thing was supposed to be you.
A silent Venger walks over and picks up her helmet. As they approach the doorway, back to the clear light of the doorway, changing to a neon red, and from the rocks and soil beneath their feet, a thorny stand rises from the ground. Entangled in its branches is a golden fan. Tiamat grabs the fan and before entering the portal asks,
In your legends, is there any mention of this?
A still silent Venger shakes her head no. They proceed through the doorway. The dark sky mountains. With no helmet on, a heavily armed Celine exits to see the Vikings standing 1 foot on the edge of the low wall. The hills are bathed in a blue light, so comfortable that Celine's eyes, that she raises her goggles onto her forehead. The Viking is overlooking a precipice that has a valley beneath it and an ascending path extending above it.
Let's move.
The two set off down the trail, and after a day's worth of walking, notice a dramatic light change in the sky. The eternal night is now becoming morning. Celine puts on her goggles while the Viking is looking down the path. She lowers them over her eyes as they come to an ascending fork in the road. They stop.
What do you make of the area, besides the fact that we're being followed?
Well, there are about 30 of them, and the 2 paths ahead are leading into the mountains. I suspect the one on the right goes straight to their main camp in the mountains, and over that ridge to the left is their secondary camp. If we set up camp here, we will have a bit of an advantage in case of an emergency.
So basically, the inhabitants of this area already know that we are here, and they know now that they've been following us. Do you think they're going to ambush us?
I'm counting on it.
Aha. I see. Let the supposed problem come to you. Not the style I'm used to, but when outnumbered.
And we are.
Let the aggressors come to us so that we can assess their capabilities.
Better yet, let them show us where to go and not to go.
Aha. I like your style.
Celine throws the backpack to the ground by the tree line, and within seconds, the pack is gone with the rustling of the leaves.
Sooner than expected.
You take the higher road and Les will follow you. When you get to the secondary camp, you know what to do.
Light him the hell up.
You got it.
The Viking turns slowly, then in military fashion jogs down the path in front of him, throwing a few swings into the air, shadowboxing as he jogs. Celine turns even slower and with halberd and laser rifle in hand, strolls up the higher path like a shepherd holding her staff. The rustling grows louder as she walks, and without hesitation, she sprints like an Olympic athlete racing for gold. There is a joy in her eyes. This is what she does with ease. The High Ridge Mountain Pass. From around the corner jogs Celine, looking like an ancient centurion in futuristic clothing in the center of the screen. Her pace slows to the point of almost stopping. She is in control of several dog-masked men running over the overpass and leap onto the rocks before her. Just as several more dogmen race behind her, she stops.
Just you guys?
Okay, for a split second, let's figure out real quick. There's 3 dogmen, right? So I want Harold to be dogman number 1.
All right.
Vincent, yeah, I want you to be dogman number 2. Okay.
All right, cool.
And you be number 3, Brian. Yes, exactly.
You
You're
got
number 3. All right, there you go.
Mm.
Okay, just you guys, one more time.
Go for it.
Just you guys?
More coming.
Good.
Like a flagman in a parade, Celine twirls almost cheerleader style her halberd around her with one arm and turns to the dogmen behind her. The dogmen that were facing her on the cliffs in front of her fall flat and motionless to the ground as she tilts her head towards her new assailants. They panic as she aims the rifle at them. The camera zooms in on her face as she pulls the trigger, and a kaleidoscope of colors flicker of her sensual eyes, nose, and lips. They murder and their murder is sexy to the camera. High Mountain Pass. Celine has walked a few paces ahead and looks back to see 20 or so dogmen running over the ridge she just passed. They see her standing above them.
Little woman, did you make this mess?
Are you going to clean it up?
Perhaps we will make you bend over and clean it for us.
Celine points her gun at the crowd below her when more dogmen reveal themselves on the cliffs above her.
I would not do that if I were you.
In a flash, a voice echoes behind the dogmen that were above her. It is Celine, and she walks out of the mist. They look at her, they look at the spot where she was at to see the image of her fade away.
That is why you're not me.
The camera cuts away to show all men falling from the cliffs above. Celine steps forward to the edge and screams violently.
Is that all you got?
Get her.
As the dogmen scramble, Celine's laughter is heard echoing throughout the canyon.
Is that all you got? Is that all you got? Is that all you got?
The forested mountain path. The Viking, still in military style and fashion, is jogging at a good clip when he notices in the shadows what seems to be hundreds of men running down the sides of the forest path. He slows, he stops.
Golden boy, what brings you here?
I came to get the template.
Chuckling and howls are heard from the woods around him.
And how do you suppose that you will do that? It belongs to us.
I will ask you only once. Return the template and no one will suffer.
A tall man wearing forest camouflage with a green and brown dog mask steps from the tree line along with what seems 100 similarly dressed men. They begin to howl like dogs at the moon.
Shh. Golden boy, you are in the wrong place at the wrong time. You must want to die.
The Viking holds up 2 orbs and flings them. The ensuing explosion knocks down several trees in its wake. There are dogmen lying all over the forest floor from the explosion. From the mist and smoke, at least a dozen of mechanical Viking clones rise from the ashes. The Viking screams as his helmet or mask forms over his face.
Come on!
Forest Keep. The battle is so thick at the forest gates of the keep that the Viking and his men are slowly being cornered when a piercing sound like laser-type railgun warming up reverberates through the thicket. A beam of light so intensively bright strikes through the canopy, enters Celine's perch on a branch higher in the thicket. Dogmen are flung left and right as the beam cuts a path to the castle keep's door. And when it strikes, the blast shatters the door to ash and embers within seconds.
You fellas look like you need some help.
What took you so long?
Several of the android men shout and cheer as they and the Viking battle their way easily through the now open gate. The Viking is leading the way. The forest keeps main hall. Celine is now with several of the men and the Viking as they run up the exotic leaved stairway to the main hall. Celine, exuberant as usual, steps forward side by side. The Viking as wild with the men that follow suit. All are jogging military style in a close cliche.
Like,
I'm sorry.
close
Yeah,
click.
sorry. Okay. A close click towards the main hall. You can hear them chanting in military fashion on each breath. Hooah, 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 hooah. They flank the main hall doorway before a well-armored dog captain and his personal guards. Giving him no escape, the Viking points past the dog captain to the glowing Mjolnir template floating aglow on the stand in the center of the main hall, just behind the dog captain and his dog man.
The wrong place at the wrong time, huh?
I think so.
The dogmen reveal that they all have variations of Mjolnir and attack. In a moment of sheer military cleverness, the Vikings men form a close circle behind the Viking, who proceeds to run to the center of the circle and be launched forward, Superman style, over the heads of the dogmen. He gracefully tumbles forward, grabbing the template. At that moment, the dogman's hammer disappears.
Do you think the Empire foolish?
In a matter of seconds, the dogmen and their captain are defeated. The dog captain, while in the hands of the Viking, yells to an unseen opponent,
Spare me.
just as the bolo from earlier wraps around his neck and is yanked completely off. All that is shown is the dog captain's helmet falling at the feet of Venger.
Sinister.
Venger, ninja style, throws smoke bombs down everywhere while fleeing. Coughing Celine charges after Venger while the Viking commands his men.
Stay and secure the area. We have Venger.
He, with a vaporous Celine, are leading the chase for Venger. Celine, using her skill, sporadically confronts the elusive Venger, who seems to be equally matched, yet every time the Viking comes near Venger, seeing the odds, turning quickly, attacks with explosive smoke and light bombs as a monetary deterrent. Venger flees into a room within the keep where gigantic double doors are. The Viking and Celine follow to see a vault with a portal door that is glowing and another set of double doors that sound as if there is a riot just outside of them. They stop completely, then look at each other. Raising their weapons, they slowly and cautiously walk through the first set of doors. The outskirts of the garden. The Oracle and the Nightlight watch in horror the devastation that the encroaching army wreaks on the garden. The Oracle gasps.
I know where we are. Better yet, when.
What?
We're in the past. The past. I know what they want.
The Oracle jumps to her feet and runs down the steps leading to the lower gardens, flagging down Angelica. The Nightlight immediately begins to slapping the button on his lapel while running after her. However, nothing happens. He slows, noticing no armor. Looking ahead, he sees the Oracle waving her arms, trying to signal Angelica. He panics and draws his gun, pulling the trigger. Nothing happens each time he tries to fire. Like a bat out of hell, he runs even faster towards the Oracle.
Angelica! Angelica!
It's the axe and cloak. It's the axe and the cloak.
The Nightlight, being too far back, continues to yell while running at full pace. Just as he reaches her, there is an explosion in front and between him and the Oracle. The shock knocks him back to the ground and makes her freeze in her tracks. Another explosion occurs just to the left side and then to the right. She cringes as dust and debris fall around her. She shouts,
Angelica!
Angelica signals her army to stop firing, and they approach the shaken Oracle.
How do you know my name?
The treasure you seek is cursed. In the future, you and your army are turned into winged beasts. The only treasure you need is the precious ring on your finger. Your true enemy removes it and hides it from you in the cliffs. You are so deformed that you knowing it is there. You're so deformed that you knowing it is there, unable to even grasp it. The invasion you wish to prevent is not prevented, but further perverted by your majesty's demise because you are the queen of the harpies.
Oh, no harpy guard. I'll do it. Infidel, sire, let me destroy this liar.
Angelica stops her guard and removes her gauntlet, revealing the ring.
I do not know of how you know of my ring or the power it holds. However, if this is true, my mate will be sorely amiss by loss of my presence in the throne room. I will spare you this day, but if you've lied, I will return and kill you.
Angelica twirls her ring finger in the air, and her men turn back as she puts her gauntlet back on. The Nightlight, shaken and a little stirred, hobbles to the Oracle, knocking a ton of dust off himself.
Feminism. Every time I see them, I get the crap beat out of me. I don't think I like them. And another thing, if we're in the past, F&A, how do we get back to our time?
Led by Angelica, the army turns back and leaves. Lower levels of the garden, very distraught. Nightlight voices concern.
My gun. It did not fire.
It's not where we are, but when, Nightlight. I finally figured it out when I saw Angelica. This is the ancient past, before the curses took place. I am betting that this is the very day that both those invading armies attacked.
If Angelica is here, then where's the other army?
According to the hieroglyphics, the other army may be a composite of the other more impoverished kingdoms. Their attack probably isn't authoritative or aristocratic.
So the motive for the attack may be out of necessity.
And because Angelica was firing on someone, that means they're already here.
Like here?
Yeah.
F&A.
Just then, an explosion rings through the air as a horde of bandits wearing dog masks break down the fenced-in walls of the outer gates. Just over the next ridge, they see the second set of invaders charging and looting in the distance. There is no way to deter the army of invaders with just words, so they prepare for battle and worse. Nightlight hands the oracle his sword and raises the axe.
Do not, my friend, be caught alive by these men.
Lower levels of the garden moments later. The oracle and Nightlight rush to a circular entrance surrounded by red stones and rocks that line the cavernous garden pathway leading to an open gate. The encroaching army spills over it like a horde of hell. They are clearly men. However, their helmets are in a variety of odd shapes and styles. However, all of them are of dogs and or wolves. Nightlight stands center of the garden holding the massive golden axe of the green man in his hands. He is jostling it in one hand as if impatient for the impending conflict. Behind him is the oracle adorned in the cloak of red and wearing her mask. She peers from behind him like a kabuki star, about to make a grand yet elegant, deadly, deceptive entrance. Her fan headdress looks like a star radiating behind his shoulders every time he leans away from the encroaching minions. She is holding her asagi and Nightlight's sword in a defensive low ni ten ichiro style pattern.
Are you ready?
F-N-A.
Garden battle continues. The sound of drums flare through the air as Nightlight and the oracle turn back to back. The invaders circle the two in a double ring of anarchy that undulates like a merry-go-round at the circus. Typically fair, the mass falls in on the oracle and Nightlight, instinctively swinging her around in slow motion, and catches the first round of attackers. His thrust of the axe are as wild as the lynch mob around him. The camera captures each blow of the axe as bodies are flung about in mass hysteria. The sound of the sword unsheathing signals the next salvo of attacks, which are all easy game for the oracle. The camera motion and angles are drastically different and rapidly fast as the oracle displays the very artistic form of kendo using just her asagi as a bokken and the Nightlight's sword. She slashes so rapidly, the camera has to pivot every time she halts to find a new round of opponents. The battle is intense as each combatant faces not just one, but several opponents at a time. The two fight together, shifting periodically from one locale to another, depending on the position of each other. It is a bloody dance. The camera zooms skyward to the treasure room. The camera zooms skyward to the treasure room the two just vacated to see the doorway portal opening and letting out two figures. The treasure room doorway. The Viking holding Mjolnir's template and Selene with halberd in her hand cross through the doors. The altar before them is barren, yet in the distance, they still hear louder than before the sounds of a riot like SWAT. The team experts, they approach the open entrance to the outer garden flanking both sides of the doors when they notice a melee scene reminiscent of the very battle they just came from. Amused, the Viking speaks to Selene.
Isn't this when you say sinister?
It has to be really messed up before you get a sinister out of me.
Hordes of more men attack Nightlight and the Oracle within view of the two.
Okay.
Sinister.
The Viking runs screaming through the entrance, holding the template. Selene smiles brashly as she twirls her halberd and joins him. Interior, the garden battle. The Viking and Selene join the other two travelers in battle, so now it is 4 against many. There is a soccer field perspective of the Viking and Selene running at full clip, weapons in hand. The Viking, who is ahead of Selene, hits the lapel button, armoring up. Running straight into the camera with a thunderous battle cry, like a barbarian, the Viking swings, holding the template, low swing, batter swing style. The entire mob falls back like bowling pins during a perfect strike. The Oracle and Nightlight look up along with the rest of the mob as the Viking takes another swing. This time, the perspective is that of the mob falling back and away.
Euphemism.
Here comes the cavalry.
Selene Kirka, the earlier battle, runs disappearing in plain sight and reappears behind the few soldiers foolish enough to stay behind, but not flee.
Gentlemen.
They turn to be whacked with a halberd in a sparking blaze. Those that do not fall run frantically away, holding their eyes and faces. The 4 congregate in the center of the field, a little less wear for tear and very hyped up. Greeting each other, the Viking notices something strange.
Damn, woman, your rear's aglow.
The woman looks shocked at each other as the Oracle looks back. Nightlight, just as shocked, leans sideways to get a better look.
It is.
The Oracle hesitates as Selene cautiously lifts an object from the back of the Oracle's red cloak.
The shell.
The second she grabs the shell, the fans given to the travelers glow just as bright. The shell glows brighter, pointing in one direction as she moves from left to right like a compass.
I think we found our next clue.
Nightlight and the Oracle look back surprised.
Clue or not, how did you find us?
Yeah, you know that we're currently in the past by at least several hundred years.
You lie.
Kid you not, this is the past. Many years before we got here.
Sinister. We were chasing Venger when we got to a portal that led here.
So do we travel back and get the hell out of here, or do we follow the light?
If Venger is here, then so is Tiamat.
Then it's settled.
Sinister.
The light leads back to the upper gardens where the travelers are now all facing.
Let's do this.
The travelers set off on the path.
So as long as it's not the Yellow Brick Road.
What does that mean?
Oh, I'm referring to an early 20th century moving picture story about several beings on a mystical journey involving a dog, a lion, an automaton, a straw beast, and a little girl.
The camera follows behind the climbing travelers.
Oh no.
They were on a quest to destroy a wizard who was infatuated with the color green and employed the services of monkey minions.
Monkeys? Huh?
Winged monkeys.
Sinister.
Garden throne room. It is abnormally quiet in the hall preceding the entrance to the throne room as the Viking and Nightlight push open the throne room doors. Before them are a series of dogmen. Behind the dogmen are Venger and Tiamat. Behind Tiamat and Venger is the Ozymandian crown, and behind it, two seated figures, so alien yet familiar on the thrones. It is the Green Man and his wife, who look irritated as the oracle at the oracle's cloak.
Alan? You're muted, Alan.
Your persistence is unacceptable.
Yet again, you are the true problem.
Kill them.
The four fight through the dogmen quickly to reach Tiamat and Venger.
Brother,
Yes, yes, yes. Don't tell me. Why can't we ever be on the same side of anything?
Tiamat looks over at the Green Man while holding up a now glowing fan similar to the oracle shell.
Well, we got them here. With the items, aren't you going to stop them?
Watch how you speak to us.
He is pathetic, my love. We shall deal with him later.
An orange aura flares into a fire over the crown as the couple stand and do a series of coordinated gestures in front of the crown. A literal wave of energy quaffs from the couple as they walk from their thrones and merge together, at which time Tiamat notices the Green Man and woman reach for the crown and advantageously turns on them and places the crown on his helmetless head. The now gender-muted Green Man and wife shout.
Idiot. Only I can wear the crown.
Tiamat responds chucklingly.
Yeah, you were not smart enough to prevent me from wearing it today. The day of your the day of your demise. Well, there you go.
Tiamat begins to float above the crowd. He is tasting the first salvo of the power of the crown.
Yes, I understand it now.
Sparks of fire and light rip from the fingertips and hands as he blasts the Green Man out of the throne room balcony. Venger slinks away into the shadows when the deformed green monstrosity leaps from the balcony and clings onto Tiamat's leg. They struggle, then grossly merge together. The dragon from the beginning of the film starts to form as a radiating Tiamat monster stumbles onto the balcony and falls down to the plateau stretching below it. Nightlight remembers that he still has the Green Man's headdress and sneaks up the cliffs behind the monster holding the Green Man's headdress. Tiamat is slowly succumbing to the power that overwhelms him. He tries to talk.
Help.
Just then, the dragon attacks as the Viking, Selene, and the Oracle easily dodge the confused beast. He is about to attack again when Nightlight holds up from the camera's view of Tiamat and the Green Man's headdress. The scene cuts to a close-up of the Nightlight's face as he whispers.
Pathetic.
At that point, he jumps onto the now turning dragon's head and slips the headdress onto the dragon's snout. Before the two hit the ground, Tiamat, the Green Man, and his wife separate in a resounding thud. Nightlight believe lands on his feet as the Green Man and his wife stand from the ashes. The Viking runs towards them with Mjolnir high in the air and clubs the shocked and tortuously screaming Green Man and his wife in one swing. They shatter like a burning pile of scattered leaves. Tiamat stumbles to his feet to be surrounded by the four. It looks like he's about to attack, like he did in the hedge maze when he once again the clouds part above them, and sure enough, the Empire in the know with a ton of starships descend. Tiamat, seeing the ships, charges down.
It ends, Tiamat.
You've been spared again. Your luck never ceases to amaze me.
F&A.
A spotlight falls on Tiamat, and he yelps as it appears he has been dismantled and destroyed by the light. A platform lowers from the nearest starship holding the know.
How's this possible?
Yeah, we thought we were in the past. You know, time travel.
The know walks towards the group from the starship.
You're muted. No. Courtney.
I didn't think it was my part.
Yeah, you're page 64.
What better testing ground than curing a current problem? You effectively prevented this world's demise at a later date. The Empire has many secrets. Time is not one of them.
Sinister. You can time travel.
Oh my.
The note points to a nearby wall where a grand portal appears.
You're muted.
Tiamat is in a place where all like him are sent when failing the test. As for Venger, she will be dealt with accordingly. They will never see each other again.
Hey, I guess Dorothy is not in Kansas anymore.
Isn't that where Clark Kent is from?
Who?
The note cuts them short.
Walk through that doorway to return to your time and receive your reward.
The note walks back to the starship.
The Empire awaits your return.
The starship takes off, and the four travelers walk towards the portal.
Let's do this.
Empire's coronation room. There is a massive crowd as the note places crowns on the heads of not only the Oracle and Nightlight, but also the heads of the Viking and Selene. The crowd cheers as the newly crowned emperors congratulate one another. The Empire vault. A resounding noise is heard, like a chorus of angels, as the items, the war fans, the crown of the Ozymandias, and the wife's cloak, Mjolnir's template, and the axe are sealed behind several high technology alien doors. Garden room throne, many years in the future. Upon an even higher throne than the green man sits the Oracle. She is wearing the wife's cloak of red, the Ozymandian crown, and in her hand a glow is the shell-shaped fan. She is relaxed and eating exotic fruit with her free hand. The feet of the Nightlight are seen marching towards the throne room.
And so it went that the Empire blessed us with a peaceful and fruitful kingdom, however righteous, without conceit, never never satiated our quest for truth, vigilance, or the desire for justice.
The camera zooms up. The camera zooms up to see Nightlight in similar garb, except from the back of his armor are at least a dozen banners streaming like a golden cape. The helmet on his head is similarly decorated with banners as the throne room doors open, revealing the sitting Oracle. He, without hesitation, walks through the mist-covered room, which conceals the inhabitants of the room, and sits beside her on the throne. He physically removes his helmet to show an older, luxuriously gray-haired, but without a beard Nightlight. The green man's headdress is a close-up. The green man's headdress in a close-up is placed on his head along with the crown he received at the coronation.
Or at least that's the story I'm telling.
She smiles for her close-up as she pops a piece of exotic fruit in her mouth. Epilogue and end credits at coronation ceremony. In between the credits are cut scenes showing the No grabbing wooden treasure boxes and opening them in front of each traveler. The first box is given to Selene. She reaches into it and grabs a glowing orb with an image of her halberd. Her crown glows brightly as the halberd appears floating before her. She plays with it, using her fingers to direct its movement before twirling it in a circular motion, almost like a boxer punching a bag. It spins so fast, it looks like a double-ended axe twirling on a chain. The next box is given to the Viking. In his box is an orb containing a hammer. He looks at Selene curiously before twirling the now floating hammer in the same way as Selene. Joyously and a bit carelessly, he stretches out his arm and the hammer strikes the ground like a meteor blast. The Viking pauses astonishedly, looking at his peers. Next, the Oracle is given an orb with the Asagi in it. She immediately twirls it, and to her amazement, The double-ended asagi expands and strikes the ground in 2 different spots, like it is connected by magic chains. She looks at Nightlight. Some more credits fly by, and Nightlight grabs his orb from the box. It is his sword. The Viking and Celine look at it as if presenting a challenge, so he hesitates, concentrating harder. He holds out his hand, trying to be different, while the Oracle shrugs her shoulders. The gnome notices and rewards him with a nod. About 7 multiple swords appear in front of him in a disconnected circle. A childlike smile falls across his face as he continues to concentrate while closing his fist. The gnome giggles as the sword spins like a fan around him. He takes a fighting stance, and the blades circle pivots wildly. The Oracle kind of agrees with the new technique while the coronation audience claps. The final credits run. Coronation fireworks. The ceremony curator addresses Nightlight as the Viking, Celine, the Oracle, and their allies stand nearby. They are looking up and astonished as fireworks light up the sky.
FNA.
What does that mean?
Fantastic and amazing.
Nightlight avoids eye contact with the curator when the Oracle and Celine turn to the curator.
He's lying because he's cursing.
FNA means.
The Oracle whispers the answer in the curator's ear, while the Viking tries to nudge a reluctant to move Nightlight.
Damn. And you say that out loud?
Trying to ignore him, Nightlight shrugs his shoulders.
Yeah. Very good, people. Very good. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. That was a long one. Let's do
Oh boy.
10-17. Oh my goodness. We really
Yeah.
did that. That was a long one. That was a good one. Alan, are you still recording?
I am.
Yeah, good. Record just if anybody have any questions. I noticed that some of the things that I did with the script, some of the wording was kind of, technically difficult, as well as also I misplaced certain things. Like I said the twice in certain spots and stuff like that. I have to give Greg a big shout out. That was an amazing. That was amazing.
It was good. No, we did well.
When I was listening to it, and I was thinking, I was listening to Gregory, and I was thinking podcast. I was thinking a dramatic podcast.
Oh, look at that! Yeah, Greg.
Thanks.
Wow.
Because the narrator, I was thinking, wow, the narrator is almost a character.
Yeah.
And if that character was having a recollection, you could justify,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nate.
I wanted
Absolutely.
to read it.
Yeah, Nate. I was gonna, throw an idea your way that maybe one day you might want to consider maybe doing an audio drama.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, if everybody can get their hands on some, like it doesn't have to be crazy wonderful equipment, but just get yourself inside of a closet and surround yourself with some cloth or some clothing, so that way you don't hear any like any reverb or anything around you. I mean, it could work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I'm way ahead of you, brother. I got that
myself. Was that instead of Zoom, because you can get Zoom, you get little artifacts and stuff. There's a company I haven't used it, but I thought I'd try at one point called Riverside FM. I don't know if anybody's used that.
I've heard of that. My friend was just talking about that today.
Yeah, it's supposed to be cleaner than
Yes.
what you get with Zoom.
Yeah, it is. That's what he said.
And you got libraries of sound effects and stuff that you can mix and really give it really dimensional. I was thinking, and then I'm gonna stop talking. I was thinking, instead of trying to do the whole piece, carve out the first 3 episodes and leave with a cliffhanger for each one.
Yeah.
And then you can play it on social media to kind of pull it out.
Yeah.
Hype it up and pull it.
That is an excellent idea. That is a beautiful idea. That's why we had you on here, Ralph. But yeah, it seems like, you know, all you need to do is if you wanted to go in that direction, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I don't know what's going to happen with this per se, but it's like we'll probably find out within another 2 weeks or so. Literally, what's going to happen on stage 32, and plus with the reading, I've also had. I told you guys already that one of the agents actually contacted me and told me they wouldn't be able to make it to the reading, but they would look at it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, and if I can do a podcast like you know what Ralph was talking about, that would be really cool. You know, I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
And see, like breaking it up into segments.
Instead of
leaving the cliffhanger, breaking it up into segments, and then you could sort of think about what happened in the first segment and wonder, I wonder what's going to come in the next segment, and then just segment it out that way. You might be able to get quite a bit.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
It's a lot, you know. So yeah.
That's so cool.
But you guys were wonderful.
No, it's like this is a killer one. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like just everybody
you transformed yourself, girl.
You know, I was really proud of the fact that, you know, some of you guys had very small parts, and there were like little parts here and there, and it was like you really kept up the storyline. Was like, you know, it's like a lot of reading to go through, you know what I'm saying? So I was like really impressed. I want to thank everybody involved. If it's like, for some of you, you know, since this is going to be seen on stage 32, most of you guys are already on stage 32, and I'll be putting up my blog post, and I will actually put that onto the blog post that you're on stage 32. I know Alan is the only one who isn't on stage 32, but
I'm on stage 32.
Oh, you are? You finally got on there. Okay, great.
I think I supposedly am.
All right, that sounds good. I'll friend you right away. I'll definitely friend you soon. So that means that all of us could actually get listed and actually do, you know, we get props for this, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sure somebody's gonna want to look at us and go, okay, this guy really showed his thing, and I really liked what this person did. You know what I'm saying? Giselle's so concentrated. She was like, she did a terrific job, Giselle. I just want to let you know that, you know, I'm shouting you out. By the way, it's really cool. Little trivia fact, Giselle was on America's Next Top Model. So
really,
yeah.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Congratulations. That's great.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really cool because some of us are on here are media influencers. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to say that I don't want to embarrass anybody, but it's like I know Courtney Lynch is definitely on TikTok as a media influencer. You know what I'm saying? 55,000 followers.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Getting there.
That's
Wow.
where you go.
Hold up.
That's where the pack.
I know. It's like if she gets any movie roles, that's an instant audience right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's when people find out that she has those many followers, it's like, you know, they'll be like, okay, we'll give her a role just so she could tell them, oh, come watch my film, go to this theater, watch this film, and it will really impress them, you know what I'm saying? So it's a new generation, new style, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely pushing and rooting for all of you. I know Harold is like doing his thing with the video games and the podcast.
Yeah, that's really cool, Harold, that you do all that, man. That's great.
Thank you. I just did another audio drama called Life with Leo. It's gonna be. I have no idea when it's gonna be out. It's a small role, but I mean it's my second one. The first one that I did was called the Boston Metaphysical Society, which is a steampunk adventure, which is based on a comic book by Madeline Holly Rosen. I'm having a blast, y'all. It's really great, and that's the reason why I was like, no man, you should do an audio drama, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Harold, I like your setup there, Harold.
This whole thing.
It looks cool.
Now, wait a second.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brian has
so
his
much.
hand up. I see. Are you doing it on purpose, Brian? You got a little hand. I thought you wanted to say something because you got a little hand symbol on your. You know, you can ask a question in the chat. I'm not too sure. Let me check.
Didn't touch anything. I've just been sitting here enjoying.
Oh, okay, cool.
I hope you guys all know that Venger wasn't Asian when I was doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, but Giselle, you nailed it. Oh my gosh, I loved it. I absolutely loved what you've done. Oh my gosh.
You totally took the character to make it your own. So you
Right.
didn't have an Asian accent. It sounded more Russian or Slavic, but hey, it was you.
It did.
It was something. It was something.
It was no something.
idea.
But
It was Slavic.
I just know that Nate did. He wanted it to have some sort of accent, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna do something. I don't know.
but
It comes out.
but let me say this, Giselle, you owned it. You took ownership of it, and you really commanded it. I really appreciate that. That's really awesome.
I just always tell myself, even when I'm like feeling like, because I really didn't know, like I really did not want to do an accent. I don't really didn't feel comfortable, but I was like, well, have fun with it and just commit.
Yeah.
So I
It
just
sounded
committed.
so
I was like,
natural
whatever
on you.
comes
But
out.
it
and
was
just
so
I'll say it.
convincing, and so it was very enticing. I was very drawn to it.
That's right.
It was,
Oh, yeah.
and I was really enthralled by your performance. I really loved it. So I thank you for your reading. You were awesome.
Yeah, you couldn't help
Everybody-
but listen. You couldn't help but listen to you.
Absolutely.
There you go.
HB.
Absolutely.
Well, all of you did a fantastic job. So I it's like I literally just I loved it so much. You know what I'm saying? It's like I didn't point out everybody doing a terrific job, but it was good to see my older friends and my newer friends, friends. They're like, we're doing this because this is work, son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So hey, there you go.
But basically, I like that you guys all stretch and you all try to do something different with the characters, and I really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So if I didn't mention you, like some of the, I'd say like I got on Jamonet, I got on Jay about right at the beginning, and I was like, I wanted to say it differently, and she actually did better as she got into it more. I like what she did when she developed it more. And the same thing with Morgan. Morgan, you killed it. We did about a female-driven script. It was like literally from the beginning, if you were in that role, you were taking over from the first page to the last page. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, it was strong performances by all. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who showed up. And if there are any more questions or any more comments, anybody wants to say anything? Alan, you got anything?
I got one more. And I know not in the cast, but if you think about an audio drama, if you think about an audio drama, because we did a 4-part series last year, the year before, just bear in mind that the pacing of it is going to be much more fluid and natural when you edit it than
absolutely
the read, because here you got you got the gas. But HB, you can attest to that. It'll be more fluid, and it'll go to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, it was the interesting thing about the last the audio drama that I did the first time around. The engineer literally recorded all of us just reading the parts, and then what he would do is he would submit recordings to each actor minus their part, so that way they could just go right into it. And then we just record our part and we send it to the engineer, and then he just mixes it all together, and it's like we're all in the same studio.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we are. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
I loved it. I enjoyed all the intricacies, and I even kind of like went into the story. So closing my eyes and felt like I was in it. And then I actually had to wake myself up because I was like, oh boy, wait a minute, I got into it. So I had, okay, let me sit up so people think that I went to sleep, but I was in the dream of the story, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
That's exactly what happened to me. I mean, I got so into the story that I just got lost, trying to the script. And it was just, everybody was great. I mean, I really appreciated the activities that people did voice wise. It was really, it came alive, and I would sort of look away and close my eyes, and then I got lost in the whole story.
Definitely.
It was good. It was good.
All
I
right.
really enjoyed it. I want to thank you all. It was great. I found it enormously entertaining.
Okay.
Very cool.
Thank you, Alan, for hosting us. You know what I'm saying?
You want me to
Thank
stop?
you, Alan.
I'm still recording. You want me to stop?
Yeah, stop it now. It'd be cool. You know, it'd be okay. But, just basically just